look at a 65 Deluxe Reverb. I'm going to get under the guts of it.
Let's check out that reverb section on the Deluxe.
Alrighty. What you got with these old Fenders, you've got an outboard tank. And I'll grab one here and show you what a tank looks like. This is a Reverb Tank. Now, your signal will come out the output pin right here of this jack, go to the input of your tank. Your signal is going to go through every one of these springs, come back out this side, go back to your input of the amp. It's going to come down here to this 12AT7. Okay, it's going to hit this 12AT7 and it's going to amplify the return of that signal. Your reverb pot is going to blend ever how much wet signal you want with your dry signal. That's how you get the amount of reverb that you want. Okay. On all these tube reverbs, you have to have a actual transformer to drive it. And it runs off of two tubes. One is a return and the other is a driver. It'll be this one here and this one here for your reverb. Okay. This tube here will be your tremolo. Actually, all the tremolo on a tube tremolo is an oscillating circuit. Takes the signal, comes on this channel only, and you've got a speed control for it and a depth, which will give you how much amplitude that you got on this tube and how fast the amplitude's going up and down. And your last preamp tube here will be another 12AT7. That's a phase inverter. Takes the signal and splits it into two parts. One will hit this tube, the other will hit this tube. And these are being, the phase will be inverted from this tube to the other tube so that you get a sine wave, positive and a negative. Okay.
So a little bit more in depth with the reverb, but you were also saying that there was a resistor associated with the output.
All that resistor is a blending resistor. Takes the reverb and splits it off from your dry part to the transformer and sends out the transformer into the tank. That's basically all the reverb is just a delayed signal. It's got a little time delay to it, and the more of the wet signal you put in there, the deeper it'll sound like your room is. You know, make it sound like you got a big echo. It's pretty mechanical. It's just actually two springs, you know, 2 or 3. Some of these will have 3 springs in them. But the longer they are, the longer your delay will be. So this amp here will have one about this long instead of this little small one. This goes in your little practice amps. But like I said, yes, the reverb is a dangerous part of this circuitry. It's got 400 volts DC on it, and if you don't know what you're doing, stay out of it. It'll definitely lay you down. You want an explanation of how the reverb works?
Yeah.
Okay. This is your vibrato channel. Okay. You're going to come in your first tube, your second tube, sorry. It's a V2, which is 7025. Alright, your output of that tube comes right here off the plate through all your tone resistors and caps. You come over to your volume. Alright, when you come to the second half of V2, that signal comes up and goes through a 10 picofarad capacitor and a 3.3 meg resistor. Comes down going to hit this 12AT7 that's tied together. Both sides of this tube, it's B3 right here. Both sides of it are tied together and they work as 1 amp. On the output of those 2 plates, it'll hit the transformer number 4 right here, your reverb transformer. When it comes into that, it gets boosted up and your signal comes out that, goes into your tank, right here, your reverb tank, goes through the springs to the output of the tank, comes up and hits this next tube, which will be this one right here. It only uses half of this tube. That's the return. Okay. After it gets amplified through this tube, it comes to the plate, over to your reverb potentiometer, and this will blend your wet signal that just came out of the tank with the rest of the amp. Comes up to here, this other half of your 7025, which will be right here. Okay, then it's going to come straight over here and it's going to hit this 12AT, which is your phase inverter. Okay, and then when it hits the phase inverter, it splits the signal into two parts. One part will hit this tube, the other part will hit this tube. Okay, that's how the output tubes get their signal. Alright, your signal comes over here off of this plate and this plate, this one and this one. You're going to hit the primary of the output transformer. Okay, the output transformer is going to drop the signal down actually, and it'll hit the 8 ohm speaker. Okay, only other thing we got in this circuit here will be your vibrato, which is this oscillating tube right here, V5, this tube right here. Okay, you got these 3 caps right here, here, and here, and these caps determine the time and the amplitude of the signal that gets oscillated. Alright, you got an intensity and a speed control on this tube. And other than your power supply, which is the 5U4 and the power transformer, which comes up and hits these 5 power supply capacitors, 16 microfarad in a line here. You'll have a resistor in between these caps, dropping the amount of voltage down so that you get a smaller voltage to run the preamp tubes. Alright, and you've got a pedal here. All it does is shunt this reverb to ground so that you can turn it off and on. It does the same thing on the other button here for the vibrato. It just shorts the signal to ground. That'd be this one here. And this one here is your reverb. This one here is the vibrato pedal, and this one is the reverb. Here and here. Just shunts that signal to ground so you have on-off button that you can operate with your foot.
So, Tuck, I've heard this primary and secondary aspect of transformers.
Yeah.
Does it apply to the power and the output transformer?
Yeah, it does.
What's going on with the primary and secondary?
That's what I just told you. It hits the primary part of the output transformer.
Yeah.
It's connected to the output plates of these 2 tubes.
Mm-hmm.
That signal gets put together right here where it hits the primary of the output transformer. The output transformer drops that signal down and it hits this 8 ohm speaker. That takes the DC voltage away from that speaker so it doesn't damage it.
And then the secondary, what's the secondary about?
The secondary is this right here I just told you, goes to the speaker.
Okay.
It drops the signal down because you've got a 400 volts, 400 to 450 volts on the primary, and you have to have something to take that DC out of the equation because it'll destroy your speaker. So that transformer, output transformer, isolates that DC from the speaker and also drops the signal down, so it's at a usable sound level.
Is the speaker itself getting the DC?
No, it's isolated
Oh.
from the DC. That's
Okay.
the purpose of the transformer.
So it turns from DC to AC during the secondary phase?
It don't turn to AC. The signal looks kind of like AC, but it looks more like noise. The audio signal does. But it's not your regular AC like comes out of the wall.
Okay, so the speaker doesn't get any AC at all then?
It gets an AC type of signal. It's a line level signal that'll drive a speaker. But now your power transformer, it takes in AC and doubles it up 3 or 4 times to give you a 450 volt output from your 150 volts in. It'll come up to about 450 to drive the output tubes. And these dropping resistors here drop your voltage down a step by step until you can get the voltage manageable to where to run these smaller tubes. These will run about 160 to 210 in that area, and these output tubes run at 400, 415 exactly. So that's basically the whole circuit. This other signal, this other channel here, does the same exact thing. It just doesn't send the signal down into the reverb tube. It just goes straight to the output section from here.
Okay.
The only other circuit in here I need to explain to you is the power supply. Your wall current, it's 115 volts AC, comes in right here on this cord. You're going to go into your input of your power transformer. Now the power transformer is very dangerous. And like I said, stay out of this part of your amp. Don't be messing with it while it's energized, and it'll hold voltage stored up in the caps after you unplug it in. So when you want to work on one of these old amps, you got to discharge your capacitors. All right, that's basically how this whole little amp works. It's real simple, real old school, and gives you a really good tone.
Let's see how it sounds in a 412 cab.
Yep. There you go.